Welcome to Catch the NeoPixel. In this video series, we're going to see how we can make a small game using Circuit Playground Express. In this, the first lesson, we're going to do a quick overview of the game and also handle moving the hero. So let's get to it. So what is the idea behind the game? So we are the hero, the blue NeoPixel. The enemy is the red NeoPixel. And it's our job to chase the enemy around the circuit playground and capture it. The way we move around the circuit playground is by using the buttons. So if I press A, I go counterclockwise to try to catch the enemy. And we catch the enemy by simply getting in the same position. Notice the enemy is not stupid. The minute we capture, it goes to a different location. So now we have to keep going. And the idea is that after we've captured the enemy a couple of times, we win the game. But there's also a losing part, that if we don't capture the enemy, let's say 5 times within 10 seconds, we lose. All right, so let's see how we can handle this. So let's go over to Arduino IDE. And in the first stage of this program, we have to start creating some variables. What is this information that we're tracking in our program? So because we're using the left and right buttons, definitely 2 variables I would suggest making are variables to represent those 2 components. So we got LB for left button, RB for right button. The other thing that we're going to need is a variable to hold the position of the NeoPixel for our hero. So this variable hero, it's representing the position of where the hero should be at. So we can use it with the set pixel color. So let's run that next. So circuit playground, set pixel color, and we'll do hero, which currently right now is 0. So our hero should pop up in that first NeoPixel. Let's do 255. Okay, I don't know why I spaced it out so much. Let's bring that back in. All right, so let's run it and let's see what we get. Okay, so you can see there our hero's on the first NeoPixel. Life is good. Get that thumb up. All right, so now we want to move the NeoPixel around. So that means we're going to need an if statement. So if the player presses the left button, then we want to increase the hero's position. So we're going to do hero plus plus. This will increase the hero's position by 1. So it was at 0, and then it's going to move to 1. And let's also introduce a delay now, because if we don't, it's just going to go really fast around the whole screen. So let's run it again. All right, so let's press the left button and let's see what happens. Oops, I made a common mistake. So I got so excited to get about the variable that I forgot to actually assign the variable a value. So let's do circuit playground left button. Okay, now it should work. All right, so if I press the left button, we should now see the NeoPixel move over. But what you'll also notice is that it doesn't clear out the place where it was. So let's handle that one. And the way we're going to do that is by simply clearing all the NeoPixels before we do any kind of logic for our game. And I would say that is a good practice to get into. That, just simply clear out the NeoPixels and let your logic, your algorithm of your game decide which NeoPixels get lit. All right, so let's try it again. All right, much better. So you can see the NeoPixels moving around. But we're going to have to handle this part. Notice that when it gets to this last NeoPixel, NeoPixel 9, it doesn't cross over. The reason for that is that the hero's position is constantly increasing. So once it gets to 9, it's going to go to 10, 11, 12. Those are not appropriate values for our hero. So we need to add another if statement that now checks the hero's position. That if it's over 9, let's simply set it back to 0. Now let's try that out. Oops. Oh, sorry. I said position, but I meant hero. All right, so recall our challenge was that we moving the hero around, but when we got to this last one, it didn't cross over. So let's see if we've solved that problem with this extra if statement. So moving around, moment of truth, and the hero crosses over. So you can see now I can simply hold it and it's going around. So now let's handle the right button, because notice the right button's not doing anything. Now the cool thing about doing the right button is essentially the same code as the left button. So a little copy and paste is going to save us some time. And we can actually do a little copy and paste of this as well. Where this will be RB, and in this case, instead of increasing the hero's position, we're going to decrease it. Now I'm going to let us discover this. We will need another if statement, but I want us to see how this works. So I'm going to do it stepwise. What do I do now? 2 T's. Gotcha. Okay, so we're going around. Life is good. And let me go around this way a little bit more. All right, so now I'm going to try the right button, and I'm going to go slow. So you can see the right button is working. Now at this point, I'm going to press it one more time. I'll forget it. We're at position 0. Now realize this was position 9, 8, 7, 6. So we were decreasing the hero's position by 1 every time I press the right button. What happens when we get to 0 and I subtract 1 more? Now we get a -1. Now a -1 is not an appropriate value for our set pixel color. And you'll see we run into a similar situation where it goes away. And that's because the value of hero is now -1. Our logic then should lead us to say, okay, if we're at 0 and I decrease 1 more, I want to go over to this NeoPixel, which is NeoPixel 9. So we need to have another similar if statement where if the hero's value is less than 0, means it's going into a negative, we're going to set the hero's position back to 9. And let's run that. Okay, so now we should be able to freely move this hero around our Circuit Playground Express. So here we go, going counterclockwise, and here we're going clockwise. All right, let's go back to our presentation. Let's review what we've done. So in this first lesson, we did an overview of Catch the NeoPixel, which is a game where the task, as the title implies, is to catch a NeoPixel a certain amount of time within a certain amount of time in order to win, or we lose if we don't meet the winning condition. We also covered the first stage of the game of moving the hero around using left and right button. So hopefully you're excited for what we can do in relatively short amount of time. Enjoy.